Hey all, back for a BITREP, and I have a fun one today. People have been asking a lot about my Ynarri list, and so this is an updated version of the Ynarri list I took to the Aegis GT that I talked about on Best in Faction. I'm playing against Zach's Wordbears. It's a little bit of a short game. I'll warn you guys about that ahead of time, but I think there's a lot to learn if we just dissect it and tell the story rather than worrying about whether or not this is a close game. All right, so let me start with telling you where everything's at. This is good old-fashioned 5 objectives with the weird angle from the middle of the table to the corner, and you can see that Zach's Wordbearer list takes Warp Ritual, Exalt the Dark Gods, and Banners. Zach's list is incredibly durable, and it operates by moving to the middle of the table and then scoring a lot of secondaries while sending missile pieces at you to disrupt what you're doing. I took no prisoners because he'd be thick, yo. Psychic Interrogation because he only has a couple casters and he doesn't have any pluses to deny. I have Fate dice to get it up to a high number. He wants to deny other powers. That's kind of my thought. And then I actually really like Banners with this Eldar list because the whole game, this Eldar list pushes from its objective. So the whole game, it's pushing across the table, and that makes it very easy to score a 10 at the very least on Banners by grabbing this guy and this guy. And then late in the game, if you're smashing them and you're really trying to maximize points, you throw a banner up here and a banner up here, and now you're really getting it up there, and you can rock that 15. As for where everything's at, over on my side of the board, we did do player place terrain. I put this crater out first to basically make sure that Zach can't stand behind a wall in the middle of the table because that feels bad. He then put out this blocking corner. Then I put out this, and we kind of just ended up with this terrain. A few notes that are interesting. This is actually fairly close together. This distance right here, it's kind of hard to see. That's actually very close together. Ends up mattering in the game. And then you can see that up over here, I've started 5 Rangers on the objective. Here I've got my Swooping Hawks. As in front of the Swooping Hawks are both units next to each other, so they're equidistant from the middle objective. That's important. That's my 20 troops. Down here I've got all 6 D cannons. Again, I've deployed them interwoven with each other. Hard to see here, but they're interwoven. And then behind that is both units of Hawks, and then all the characters are here as well. Then down here, we've got our unit of 5 Harlequin bikes. That's a new addition to the list for me. I really, really, really value the Harlequin bikes in the list. The bolas with the Shuriken cannon are very powerful together, and I love having this fairly durable, fast-moving shooting threat. They're not good in combat, but they can always charge if I need to get them onto an objective or something. And then my second unit of Rangers is standing in front of them right there. Nothing in Deep Strike. Yncarne doing what he does best. She does best. They do best. Hanging on the back line of the table. Waiting for something to happen. I'm going to move Zach's arm out of the way here. There we go. So what we've got here is, this is the big old brick of -1 to wound, basically Trans-Hitman the whole game Terminators. It's right there. It's this kind of reddish goldish unit right here. This is 5 possessed. This is a unit of 9, I think, possessed. Maybe it's 10. This is 10 cultists. This is a big unit of the Raptors. Warp Talons. One of the jump pack melee units. Then this is Venom Crawler. Zach loves those as skirmishing units that do things. They can stand on objectives. They can move around. They can help engage if you need to. They shoot. They punch a bit. And they give pluses to cast, which makes it very likely for him to get his buffs off. Over here, we've got a unit of 5 Chaos Space Marines. Here's another 10 cultists. And this right here is actually a Vindicator. It's got a 2-up save with Armor of Contempt in this list. Zach loves it as a bit of heavy long-range shooting. That's actually pretty efficient at dealing with heavy targets. And because it's, T8, 12 wounds or 14 wounds or 16 wounds or something crazy with a 2-up in Armor of Contempt. Pardon me. But because of that, he really loves its durability. So you can see that terrain-wise, I don't have a lot of big L's that I can be in, right? So just as a note, I measured this a lot. So I know that this Vindicator, for example, can't come out this way and get a long shot here. That's a thing that I've already figured out. He doesn't have a lot of long-range shooting other than that. I know that the Terminators can come out to about here, and they can shoot like this, and they won't have an angle on these bikes. So just so you guys can kind of understand how hiding works. It does say Sam's turn at the top of the screen. That'll fix itself here in a moment. And Zach is going first. He just advanced those possessed, move them up into the corner. Zach's idea here is that he can't get this objective right now or I'll shoot him. And so instead, he's going to wait and take the objective next turn. He put 5 possessed in front of that with a character behind him. I'm going to be honest, I don't remember which character that is. And then behind that, you can see the 10 Terminators are coming up. Oh, and then he realizes the character shouldn't be that far forward. I say fine, moves them back. I think that's the character that gives the aura of always in cover to these guys. There's a priest right here as well, so it might be him that does that. I know that they are -1. The -1 to wound in Zach's list is over here on this unit of possessed and not on the Terminators, but the Terminators have Transhitment, which he absolutely made this turn. They also have the Feel No Pain. I don't like that, obviously. Then Zach's got his 10 cultists down there taking that objective. That's just fine. So I actually like that Zach's going first. My plan against Chaos Space Marines is to smash them. And when I say smash them, I mean I'm going to literally go with everything and kill him. So we'll see how that goes. But that's my plan. So the fact that he's going first, all that tells me is he's going to be closer to me, which makes it easier for me to smash him. I'm not sure what Zach is doing now. Maybe looking something up. Seems like we have a little bit of a pause in the action where we watched the game back at 300% speed. So that was actually a fairly long standing around. Not sure what happened there. And then that's Zach making sure that the D cannons can't get in range to shoot the possessed because they get blast on their D3s. They're an amazing tool at picking up chaos. Chaos is a huge part of why I play with 6 D cannons in my Ynarri list. I actually didn't, I'll tell you guys while Zach's moving, the thing I didn't realize is that I've been practicing this list into Chuck's Creations of Bile, and Creations of Bile have Fight on Death, which is incredibly hard for Ynarri to deal with. So if that's the case, then I'm sorry, I totally lost my train of thought. Oh, that's basically like training for CSM with the weights on, is what I was going to say. So I didn't think about that when Zach put this army on the table. We weren't really thinking about how effectively I would be at killing him, so we'll see how my let's go goes here in a minute. My fate dice are up over here. I've got a 2. That's a charge, a save, a hit, and a wound. I remember I rolled 4 5s, so it was pretty funny. Rerolled one of them. All right, I go up to 6 CP. It is now the Colin turn. I talk about the troops and where they're positioned back there. I'm deciding who's going to get ambush of blades. The Autarch that gives that out is standing with the Harlequins up there to get ready to go. This is where I think, hey, I think the bikes can actually go their 16 and shoot into the cultists, into the possessed, maybe pick a few up and then charge into the cultists and clear them off the objective. This is not accurate. It's not a good plan. I don't need to do it. In fact, it doesn't get me anything. But I sure do put a lot of thought into it here. So there's that. All right, so the D cannons move forward. That piece of terrain there has no windows in it. And I picked that one on purpose to go there so the D cannons could go all the way up to the wall. They are now reaching all the way up to roughly here, just so you guys know. So the first unit of troops that had ambush of blades on them, sadly, they rolled a bad advance. And so I just moved them up here to stage them for next turn. This is a slightly closer place to his army than they're standing right now, kind of how triangles work. And then the other one, I rolled a much better advance, and they're ready to go. So my thought here is, if I charge this unit of 10 troops into these 5 possessed with buffs on me, I'll pick up those 5 possessed. And then what I'll do is I'll position the troops like this and like this on the other side of the wall. Now, can the Terminators charge me? Of course they can. But what that does is it means that if he wants to shoot me, he needs to come out around the walling edge to see me or touch the wall. And either way, he's much closer to me. If he wants to charge me, he can. But if he charges me, that means he'll end his turn with the Yncarne here or here, depending on what I want to do. The other thing I'm doing is I'm moving these bikes up because they're fairly durable, and what I want to do is take him off this objective. The correct way to do that would have been to shoot it into the cultists and then still try to make a charge into them. It's just hard to make that work. It just isn't quite right. The other thing I could have done is shot into the possessed and cultists and then fire and faded back. I talked about that. I think picking up the 10 cultists to take him off this objective, knowing that I'll take that one, puts him on a 4 instead of an 8 for 2 CP, and I fire and fade the bikes back, and they're now out of range of the possessed. That's actually pro, and that would have been great, and that's absolutely what I should have done. It's not what I do, but that's what I should have done. All right, so that's me getting ready to psychic interrogate somebody with a warlock on foot. I'm now seeing how far they can charge, making sure that they can't just shoot up the Yncarne. But, you know, all joking aside, the Yncarne's not going to be standing there very long. All right, let's see what happens now. Psychic powers looks like. All right, I skipped past my psychic phase. Basically what I did is I put auto wound on 6s to hit on the Harlequins in the middle of the table, and nothing else. I got a CP, and I psychic interrogated. That's what happened. So there was a lot of conversation there, so I just kind of moved it on. Man, Zach's really fiddling with those dice, isn't he? Oh, this is the psychic phase now. I guess it jumped backwards when I tried to jump forward. Hey, Zach, I'm psychic interrogating you. Do you want to try to deny me? No, that's okay. All right, I got 3 points then. Okay, well, then I got that power. Oh, I'm going to reroll this guy. Okay, I got that power too. All right. There's a great deal of conversation happening. I should remember that when I'm making a bit rep. I need to keep the game going. All right, so that was +1 to wound on the middle troops. They got +1 to wound. They got auto wounding on 6s. And then all right, so this is D cannons and determinators. You can see that I've wounded 6 times. He failed 2 and then rolled his feel no pains. And takes 2 terminators off. That's just the first unit of D cannons that fired. They get blast, so it was 9 shots. I rolled a little bit hot there, but not too crazy. But 2 terminators dead is sure is great. Here I'm doing the next 9 shots. I picked 1 fate dice. So I have 6 hits altogether. Oh, 6 wounds altogether. Right. So that killed 4 terminators. And I remember now what the conversation about having the psychic phase was. He was deciding whether to deny Jinx. So sorry, guys, I didn't remember that this was what was happening. This guy right here is 18 inches from this Terminator right here, almost exactly 18, like 17.9. And he jinxed this Terminator to make the D cannons go better. I'm going to pause the game for just a second. Because if I'm shooting indirect into the Terminators, they have a 3-up save and cover against the D cannons. Because I'm AP4, I go down to AP3 because it's indirect. They have a 2-up save, but they're Armor of Contempt, so now I'm AP2 instead of AP3. And they're in cover, which is a 1-up. That puts me to a 3-up. Jinx puts it to a 4-up. Zach lost 4 Terminators. Zach explained that those are too heavy of losses on the first turn for a practice game. So I said, well, let's presume that you succeeded at, he had failed at denying Jinx. I said, well, let's say you succeeded at denying Jinx. That would have saved 2 more Terminators. We put 2 Terminators back on. Puts them at 8 left rather than 6. This is just me saying, Zach said that Zach's a very good math brain. He said I overperformed. It's on 18 dice. There is no over and underperform. It's not enough dice for a sample size, but fine. I'm not worried about it. So that's what happened there. The Terminator's back on the table. So we're at 8 instead of at 4 dead, down to 6. Okay. Some random odds and ends shooting, I guess. Oh, that's right. We had the Hawks could get out and see a Terminator and shoot it with like 3 guys. And then I said, well, I'm just going to put them back. And so we didn't bother moving them. Not very good for a bit rep. I won't make that mistake again. And then these guys down here are shooting into the possessed, but they don't do anything at all. Like the one possessed takes like a wound. It just wasn't good. And then I'm like, oh, well, I'll charge here. These Harlequins made their charge, so that's great. And then the bikes made their charge onto the objective, and that's great. And I'm okay with the bikes dying because they'll take them a bunch of effort, and then the Yncarne can appear down there. And then on his turn, the Yncarne's in his deployment zone. The thing is, without glaives, that's 20 attacks if they all get in. And it's 20 attacks hitting on 3s with no rerolls at strength 3, so I'm winning on 4s, and then he has a 6-up save. That is not going to work, Colin. Past Colin did not think that through. I don't just shred those 10 guys with those 5 bikes. So the one possessed that I killed, and the other, and then like I did a wound to the next one or something, was fine. I should have fire and faded and given up. I should have shredded the cultists, like I said. Okay. So the Harlequins are going to go. They are. I've souped them up to do 3 damage a hit rather than their normal 2 because I'm fighting possessed. This is half of them. No rerolls on them, so just hitting on 3s, auto wounding on 6s. And then reroll all these for wounding. And I believe I'm +1 to wound this turn, but I don't exactly remember. Looks like I am because they're T5 and I'm strength 4. So the 4s are showing the +1 to wound there. These are 3 damage apiece. Hey, look, they're all dead. I probably didn't actually need to do +1 damage there, but I just really needed them to die and not be alive anymore. Oh, I don't know how that last guy lived. That's right. There's 20 more attacks where that came from. Oh. Weird. His saves don't look like that possessed should be alive at all. I'm not really sure what happened there. Oh. Maybe I didn't do 3 damage a hit. Maybe I just did 2 damage a hit, and that's what happened. I don't remember. All right, so here's the Harlequin bikes killing 2 cultists. I don't know what math is, but that's not enough for me to take the objective. I didn't force much of a morale check. I didn't accomplish anything with the bikes. They're like the most expensive unit in the army, and I just went meh and didn't do anything with them. That one possessed punched back and killed some of my troops. Fine. I killed the unit, basically. That's what I needed. I want him to have less tools. That's what I'm looking for. That's the cultist punching Harlequin bikes. Nothing. All right, so that's my turn. Now we go to bottom. We go to top of 2, and Zach takes the reins. I love this setting because I've used one of my threats to kill one of his threats in that unit of possessed. And then what I've done is left them in the middle of the table. They're on an objective with OBSEC, so he needs to kill them off, and he has lots of ways of doing it. But if he doesn't do it in the close combat, in the shooting phase, the Yncarne just shows up and hangs out and is like, whoa, what's up? Same with the Harlequin bikes. If all of them die, the Yncarne goes back down there. Either way, on my turn 2, I send in 10 troops. I shoot with my D cannons, and I send both units of Banshees. They're ready to go. They're literally poised here and here, and the Yncarne's in there just beating the crap out of stuff. So super cool. Zach's trying to decide what to do. He does make sure that his Transhitman goes off on the Terminators. That's great for him. I have a Advance, a Psychic, a Hit, and a Save on my Fate dice. They're over there on the left. He advances the Terminators and spends CP to advance and charge them. His idea before he rolls his advance roll is there's a D cannon in the corner right here. And his plan is to charge that guy, right? And I kind of love that. I kind of want him to do it. Like, worst case scenario, I lose 3 D cannons, and I spend 1 CP to fall back the other D cannons, and his Terminators are right here. Kind of amazing, kind of wonderful. I can smite them when they're there. I can punch them when I'm there. So I'm all in. I'm all for that. But then Zach rolls a really bad advance, and it's a super long charge. The Possessed come up to be next to the Terminators. He knows that I have to deal with the Terminators, and that will allow the Possessed to charge. Just keep on trucking. The one Possessed runs away. This Venom Crawler comes down here to deal with the bikes. It can shoot them and charge them. They don't really have an answer for it. He doesn't have a good target for the Vindicator other than the bikes, so he just moves it up behind the wall, but looks at the bikes. Here's 5 Raptors or Warp Talons, one of the close combat jump pack guys, kind of staging behind here. I think this is actually wrong. I think Zach should have moved them here behind this wall or here behind this wall. I do have shooting that's not D cannons. I just don't think there's a lot of value in having them out in the open. I don't think he's getting a lot of value from that. There he did a thing, rolled a psychic test, got some secondary points. Probably Warp Ritual. All right, so he brings back a Terminator 2 inches from his unit and much closer to charge me. So his charge range is now a 7, I think we figured out, from here to here. He gets 2 inches into the ruin, which is cool. I just gave something LFR is what just happened. Probably the bikes, because I don't actually want them to all die. And if they do die, I want them to die in the close combat phase so the Yncarne doesn't get shot at. He kills a bike. He continues shooting. Oh, bring the bike back for some reason. Probably a math error on our saves there. It does have some wounds on it. We can see that. This is the Terminators are shooting into the Harlequin troops. Who I'm expecting them to die. I'd prefer for them to die in close combat, but I roll really bad on saves, and now I have 1 troop left up there by the Vindicator. I explained to Zach that Zach says, what happens if I kill this last one? And that was me with my hand saying, this is where the Yncarne would be. And you know what? We have a whole conversation about whether I'm okay with the Terminators charging the Yncarne, and I decide there's like 6. Yeah, so he picks up the last guy. And I say, okay, I'm going to bring the Yncarne in. And the reason why I do that is because this charge with the Terminators is really long. Even if he makes it, I do the math in my head. Those Terminators simply do not do a lot to that Yncarne. The -1 damage helps me a ton. Or I can't remember now if this particular Terminator unit, I think this Terminator unit is 2 damage hits. But anyways, it's a long charge that puts those Terminators up here on the Yncarne. He does some damage to me, and then I ignore invols and cut down like 3 or 4 Terminators. It's just not really a good deal for him. The reason why this move was good is because the Vindicator had already shot down at the Harlequin bikes. If the Vindicator hadn't shot yet, I probably don't take this risk. But as it stands, the Yncarne is now ready to go 10 inches into his deployment zone, which is great. You can see that in his shooting, I lost 4 Harlequin bikes. Feels bad. This is Zach talking about which charge he's going to make with the Terminators. Does he want to charge the Yncarne? Does he want to charge the D-Cannons? That was him showing what he felt like he should have done with the Vindicator instead. And this is him seeing how far I can charge out. And the answer is I can easily make it to his Terminators. And so he's realizing that if he charges the Terminators into the D-Cannons, that he overextends himself, and all the characters that are standing there will all then not have anybody blocking them when all the Harlequin troops and Banshees come in. That's right, but it's not good for the hump for Zach there. That one Venom Crawler charges into the Harlequin bike, which is great. Just, it dies side to side. Do I want to move the Yncarne over there? I don't, because I absolutely love where the Yncarne is located right now. So you might think that to win a 40K game against an opponent as good as Zach, you have to make all the right decisions. Those bikes, I used them completely wrong. It was like 300 points on my list, and I used it entirely and completely wrong and lost all of them and got no value out of them. Just as a reminder, a little foreshadowing of what's about to happen. All right, so it's my turn. Here come you can see that we are only doing the score updates at the end of the battle round on this one. So it's now bottom of 2. These guys get ambush of blades to give them an extra AP. In they come. Yncarne moves right there. Basically to mortal wound Aura as many people as I can. And then honestly, I'm going to charge the Venom Crawler and the Vindicator. He doesn't have fallback in charge for that Vindicator. So if I kill that Venom Crawler and then just sit there with that Vindicator, it can't fall back and shoot at the Yncarne. And then at that point, if I've killed the Terminators and the Possessed, what's he going to do to the Yncarne? If his whole army crashes down on it and might die, that's fine. I have my whole army still alive. The Hawks actually went out, popped over the guy that was standing close, dropped mortal wounds on his head and killed a Terminator. So now we're down to 6 Chaos Terminators. Banshee's out here. Here come the other Banshees here in a second. This is where I explained, sorry, Zach, I shouldn't have moved my Hawks before my Banshees, but we don't usually worry about that. These Rangers are coming out to basically make it harder for the Possessed, if I don't kill them, to charge past everything into the D-Cannons. These D-Cannons are coming out to look at their targets. They're going to shoot Terminators. These ones down here have a straight line of sight on Possessed. At this point, the Vindicator is going to be in combat with the Yncarne, and Zach's got no way around that. And so I'm not worried about the D-Cannons dying to shooting, which means they poke their heads out, get extra AP, and get better at shooting, hit on 3s instead of 4s. When to poke the D-Cannons out is actually an important part of this list, when it's time to risk their lives to do the job. Because the better AP matters a lot. That's my Farseer standing on the objective back there doing work. Those Harlequins are going to get some psychic powers on them here in a second. There we go. That's probably Psychic Interrogation. That's Jinx on the Terminators. Okay. And then I use a Fate dice and another die roll to have the mortal wound thing go off. This will be hard to track, but basically I do 0 to 3 mortals to everything around the Yncarne. It isn't amazing, but it does do some work. It does kill some Marines and hurt some people. It is a really good power. It probably is doing like 10, 12 mortal wounds here. See, there's a guy taking 2 when you factor in all the different targets that are getting hit. I don't roll particularly well on this one. It is usually my favorite part in the game is when the Yncarne's in the middle of their deployment zone doing his mortal wound pulse. It's 3 dice, and on 4s, you do mortals. And so everybody's hit. You don't have to roll to hit someone. So it's neat. Here's some D-Cannons rerolling hits into the Possessed, because I can, because they're not Transhitment. Oh, no rerolls here. I don't know what I was spending CP on. Okay, so I kill a bunch of possessed there, which is great. Then the other D-cannons are going to shoot the Terminators. Who are Transhitman. Oh, those are wound rolls. Okay. Oh, that was the D-cannons. That was the other D-cannon shooting into the Warp Talons. Sorry. First unit shot the possessed. Second unit shot the Warp Talons. That's because my whole army is about to charge the Terminators, and I don't want to kill any more of them. That makes sense. Yncarne's Flamer is going off. It picks up a Marine. It does a couple damage to the things around it. The Yncarne's Flamer never does that much, but it does a couple damage, which is cool. All right, lots of charging. Here we go. Oh, I have to shoot some Swooping Hawks first. So I don't remember what they're shooting at, and I didn't make it very clear to myself. Ah, they shot Possessed. They killed the Possessed. Good for them. Some random pistols coming in from the Banshees. But Colin, you can't charge after you can't shoot pistols after you advance. Yes, you can if you're Craftworld Eldar, not if you're Harlequins. So you can see that all of my shooting actually did a lot. It weakened up his units. It killed some Possessed down to a 5-man. It killed the Warp Talons down to a 2-man. It did a lot. I'm battle focusing the Rangers after they shoot because that allows me to reposition them a little bit. Autarch is now charging into the Vindicator. There you go. That makes the Vindicator unable to Overwatch if I want to decide that I want the Vindicator to die this turn with the Yncarne. I think this is the point where I realize I don't need to do that. The Banshees have just charged into the Possessed and Terminators both, making them both fight last and stealing their Overwatch. Here come the Troupes, which is all that's needed to kill those Terminators. Those Troupes are AP4, including Jinx, right now, and they're auto wounding on 6s to hit, and they're going to do 3. It's going to be great. Here comes more Banshees. And then I charge the Yncarne into both. He, I think, decides to Overwatch with the Venom Crawler, mostly because he's hoping it spikes. It doesn't. I roll a 12. I charge them both. So the way this army works, the Yncarne goes first because everything down here is fight lasted. Like, I have fights first, and all my stuff goes before all of his stuff because of how I use the Banshees. The Banshees are touching everything down here, and the Autarch also is making this Vindicator fight last, which of course doesn't matter. Autarch beats on the Vindicator, gets it down to 5. Yncarne easily picks up the Venom Crawler. Yncarne is down, just going to probably chill there and keep that Vindicator in combat. Here's all my troops piling in. I make them do 3 damage a hit because it matters a lot against the Terminators. Here's the first half. The first 20, if you will. All right, here's the other 20. I will try to roll a little higher next time, by the way. I didn't realize that part of my hands and dice were getting cut off the screen. All right, so the Terminators are gone. Harlequins picked them right up. That means that the other unit of Banshees isn't actually going to do anything. They did Mortals on their way in, but fine. The 2 damage Banshees are now going to go into the Possessed and try to get them dealt with. I've decided that one of these has hit. Pick up a Possessed. Here come the rest of the Banshees. The possessed say, hey, those Banshees didn't do enough, and they pick them up. Sorry, Banshees. But he fails morale on that unit, and 3 of them run away. So that's not great for him. So, yeah. So basically, the Warp Talon unit. Oh, okay. I guess the video stopped there. It wasn't supposed to stop there exactly. All right. So I said that this wasn't a particularly long game. Zach concedes at this point, and that might be surprising to you. I don't know, but let's talk it through. So this possess unit is down to 1. The Terminators are gone. The Warp Talon unit is gone. This is the last warp. There's like 1 Warp Talon left right here. These characters are all hurt. Okay. I killed a Venom Crawler. Basically, what Zach has on the table right now at the end of 2, this is turn 2. Okay. At the end of turn 2, he has a Venom Crawler here, some Cultists here, a couple characters here with nobody else with them. This is top of 3, really. It's the beginning of his turn. 4 Chaos Space Marines here, 10 Cultists here, and a Vindicator that's in combat with my Autarch and my Yncarne. He has no answer for the Yncarne. He can't even really kill these 10 troops easily. Like, he was kind of can't. We've got 5 Banshees here. I've got my Hawks here. My Rangers are here, and all the D-Cannons are alive. He is tabled next turn, frankly. The Vindicator, if it leaves combat, then I have to chase it with the Yncarne and kill it, but it'll kill that. My close combat will charge into the Venom Crawler and the rest of his army and pick it all up. He might have a character or 2 left at the end. I'll probably, because I have Psychic Interrogation, I would probably leave one of the characters alive and let it kill me while I Psychic Interrogated each turn. Stupid, but kind of the way the game works. So I acknowledge that this wasn't a particularly interesting and nuanced game, but what I wanted you guys to see was, here's the Chaos Marines are so hard to kill army moving to the middle of the table, and it overextends just a little bit. And the Yncarne list the Ynarri list that I've been talking about so much, so affectionately, the Ynarri list, when you get a little bit too close to it, it just slams into him, and he just loses everything, including me making suboptimal plays. These Banshees, the bikes got thrown away. They didn't do anything. These Banshees didn't do anything. They did a couple mortal wounds to the Terminators that were not needed because of how souped the troops were. That didn't do anything. Autarch charge here didn't end up doing anything. It was part of my plan, but it didn't end up doing anything. So, lots of stuff didn't work, but it's just the army's so aggressive that I just went through it. So that's that, and that's just a short one for you guys. But I'm going to be doing some games this weekend. I want to see this army into Blood Angels, so I'll be doing that. And I also want to see this army into New Demons, so we'll be doing that. Zach's going to bring New Demons over. So thanks, everybody. Always appreciate you guys. Let us know what you thought, and like and subscribe to make sure you don't miss any of our fantastic content. Bye.